Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do a quick flash animation. We're going to start with some simple things and then we'll build it up so it'll look a lot better than this. This is still in the early stages, so that needs a little bit of work on that. So first thing that we're going to do for this is File and New once you've opened Flash, and you're going to go to ActionScript 3.0, press OK. Right, we've got a bit of setting up of the document that we need to do before we actually start any of the graphics or animation. So if we go to the Modify window up here, the Modify menu, click on it and click Document. Dimensions wise, 500 by 500 is quite nice for this project, but you can make it bigger or smaller. Background colour, click on the white square here and pick any sort of shade of blue. I'm not really too fussed about which blue we pick, but let's go for that one. And OK. Okay, the next thing we need to do is actually draw our mountain on. Now it's important when we draw our mountain on that our mountain starts here and goes down here, but then we need to make sure that it's a solid whole shape. It's just going to make it easier for filling it, it's going to make it easier for moving it and manipulating it and making some changes. So it needs to be one solid shape. So if you grab the brush tool here, the brush tool is just sitting in there, you might need to click and hold to get that up. And we need it to be any sort of colour of white, or you might want to do it grey, not too bothered about that. Start up here somewhere and just draw a rough snow slope shape. Now when you get to the bottom, it's okay if you go off the canvas because it's not going to appear in your animation, anything out with the blue area. Hold down Shift to get a nice crisp line along the bottom, and then if I let go of Shift and hold Shift down again, I can just match that up. Okay, and Flash will sort of edit that for us a little bit, so it just makes those lines smoother. I need to then find the paint bucket tool. So the paint bucket tool is on this side. It's 1, 2, 3 down from where the brush tool is. Click on there to fill it. At this stage, you can of course add some of your own little lines and things to make it look more like a snowy mountain. I'm not very good with art, so I might actually just leave it like that. That'll do. Okay, key point at this stage, you need to, somewhere along your timeline here, which is your frames at the bottom, let's say about 100, you need to right click and say Insert Frame. The reason why that's a really important stage is because if you don't do that, then your mountain and your blue sky there are not going to appear for the whole of the animation, and we want that to be our backdrop. We want them to stay. They're not the things that have been animated, so we need to insert the frame to just say stop, this is going to be your background. So that's that. Back to my direct selection tool here and click away. Next thing we're going to do is get a image of a snowboarder. Now it needs to not have a background, so I've already prepared this, but you might want to use Photoshop or any other kind of image editing software to get rid of the background. That's really important. It would look utterly ridiculous if she was snowboarding down the mountain with a background. So let's grab Import, File, Import to Stage or Import to Library. You could do both. I'm just going to import straight to the stage just to save time. Import to Stage, and I've got my Flash animation snowboarder, which I've made. There we go. Obviously, a bit big, so I'm going to have to edit that. So in my Edit menu, I'm going to say in my Modify menu, I'm going to say Transform. And get our little handles at the edge here. There we go. Now once you're happy with where your snowboard is positioned and you're happy with the angling, so you can also rotate there, we're going to go back down to this timeline and we're going to make sure that the new layer that's been created, which is layer 0, and make sure that we click into the first keyframe, so there already should be a little black dot in there. We're then going to press F6 or right click to say Insert Keyframe. However, I'm going to press F6 because it's a lot quicker. So F6, and then I'm going to just move. It's a stop frame animation, so I'm just moving it ever so slightly. Obviously, the more movements you do, the smoother that the snowboarder is going to be. So I could do that and I'm just moving it, then pressing F6, then moving it again, then pressing F6. And if you want it to be more realistic, you can also rotate. So F6, move, F6, move, all the way till you get to keyframe 100. If you overlap, that's not a problem. Your background will continue to be there, so that's not a bother. So once your snowboard is at the bottom, I've not used all my keyframes up, but you obviously will take more time to do that. You can press enter, and it will run all the way through the animation, and then it will run to the beginning. And that's our basic animation. The next thing I want to show you is something called the Deco tool, because it's a bit dull and uneventful at the moment. So we're going to make a new layer down here, right click, insert layer, and it's called layer 3. I'm going to rename that layer 3 actually and call it snow. So double click on the text to rename that. I'm going to make sure that I've clicked in the first keyframe, because this is where I want the snow to start happening. I don't want it to start happening halfway through or at the end. So I'm going to make sure I've clicked in here, and we're going to go to a tool straight below the paintbrush tool, and it's called the Deco tool. If you click on the Deco tool and then click up here to properties, we can do lots and lots of cool things. We're going to go to where it says vine fill and click on the little arrow and try particle system. These two black palettes here need to be changed to white, so I'm going to change them to white or grey. Grey or white, doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to go onto my stage and pick where I want the snow to happen. So we can see the snow's happen there. Now if I wanted to make it better, I can obviously insert a new layer, and I can do the same again. So I can go to my particle tool, all my settings are already set up for me, so that's good, and I can start some more snow. And you can just build things like that up. Have a play with some of the other drawing effects. They're quite good. You've got flowers and vines and things in there, so you can have a look with that. Hopefully that helped with your animation. If not, then sorry.